Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 183rd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I put onto YouTube. Today I'd like to do things a little bit different and introduce all the players together instead of just in teams. On one of the enemy team there is RTW player Ulon, who has bought the Julii faction. And then we have Brotherhood member Lion Dwarf, who's also bought the Rome Julii faction. And then Hawaiian Snow, who is actually Brotherhood member Killer B, who has also bought the Rome Julii faction. So there's the enemy team there. They look pretty good. Lots of experience there. And then our team consists of Kruger Industrial Smoothings. Now that's probably a well-known RTW player, but he's called himself that today. I'm not actually sure who it is, but he's called himself Kruger Industrial Smoothing, and he's bought the Rome Scipio faction. And then we have Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks, who's also bought the Rome Scipio faction. And then myself, Spartan Commander, who has also bought the Rome Scipio faction. So there's our team there. This should be a good one for you to watch. At this very early stage of the battle here, you can see that both teams have moved cavalry out to their flank here. Our Scipii ally there has moved his cavalry out to our right flank, facing the enemy Julii cavalry there. If you notice, they've got archers out there as well, firing fire arrows into our allies' cavalry there. Obviously those archers are protected by all that enemy cavalry. When units get killed by fire arrows, as you can see, they kind of look like burnt, charred bodies on the battlefield there. Those cavalry have been killed by fire arrows. And here we are, just kind of sizing each other up here. You can see there's a little bit of skirmishing going on here on our right flank. Just a little bit of skirmishing. If you notice now, I think that there's been some more infantry moved in, and cavalry as well. Archers and cavalry moved in behind the enemy team there, firing more fire arrows into our ally there. As I say, this is a very early stage of the battle here, and we're kind of just, if you like, just setting up our armies, and if you like, just kind of squaring up to each other here at the moment. As you can see on our left flank here, not a lot going on, quite quiet at the moment. And then we can move into the centre. Just a little bit of skirmishing, kind of really not a lot going on there at the moment. As I say, it's kind of just like sizing each other up at this time. And over on the right flank, you can see once again there's a little bit of attacking going on there, but it's mostly skirmishing going on at this stage of the battle. As I say, it's just a general overview of actually of what's going on there. Knowing Killer on that far flank of ours from there, he's quite an aggressive player, so it wouldn't surprise me if he started to an attack on that flank. And as you can see here, he's put some of his units into Testudo there, but also he's moved some units into attack as well. If you notice, the archers that we were looking at earlier firing at our cavalry have now changed where they're shooting at now, and are now shooting at our engaged Scipii infantry there. Remember, fire arrows not only cause casualties, but they lower morale as well there. So there's a general overview. At this stage of the battle, you'll see that I'm moving my army more towards the centre from our left flank. So I've moved in a little bit more to the centre there. Obviously, there must have been a problem there for me to be moving my army into the centre of our team there. You can see now we've actually pulled in, our team's pulled in quite tight there now. Meanwhile, over on our right flank here, you can see that there's still a lot of enemy cavalry out there, and their archers as well. Right, can you see that Brotherhood member Lion Dwarf is charging in with his Julii cavalry there, probably with a view to hit those engaged Scipii troops there in the centre. You see his cavalry charge in, and bang, as that cavalry hits. If you notice that our Scipii ally there is counter-attacking with his cavalry. In fact, all three of us now are throwing our cavalry into the centre of the battle there, and that is some kind of cavalry charge bonus going into that that centre part of the battlefield there. And bang, as all that cavalry hits. I think there must have been something like about 18 of our cavalry units there, 17 or 18 of our cavalry units charging into the centre of the enemy lines there. That is some kind of impact has just hit the enemy team there. Plus I noticed that our allies throwing in Scipii infantry. Let's just pause the game for a second to take stock of exactly what's happening here. As you can see here on our left flank, I'm moving my infantry even further into the centre of our team there, obviously to give a bit of support to the battle that's going on in the centre. As you can see there, we've got something like 17 or 18 of our cavalry units charged right into the centre of the enemy team there. So that is some kind of, as I said earlier, of cavalry charge bonus going into the to the enemy team there. And meanwhile, over on our right flank, you can see that there's still a lot of enemy cavalry there not engaged yet. Plus, there's a few infantry units not engaged. So there's a general view of the battle at the moment. Now, I must say, when we charged all that cavalry in, I thought maybe there might have been quite a few of the enemy units starting to rout there. So the enemy team did really well to hold as well as they did there against all that cavalry impact. So really well done to the other team there. In this game, the colouring is simple. The enemy team are the red Julii units there, and our team are all the blue Scipii, Roman Scipii units there. So new players watching this, you can see easily just by the colour of the units there, who's who and actually what's happening. If you notice there, we've pulled all our Scipii cavalry back. It's like the hammer has been pulled back, and all we need to do now is pull the trigger, and then we can all charge in again. If you notice, my cavalry is charging in again here, and then the other, just pause the game here for a second. Can you see all our Scipii cavalry charging in? Like I said, we were drawn back like the hammer pulled back, and we just pulled the trigger. If you notice there in the centre, there's a lot of Julii and Scipii infantry fighting, and meanwhile over on our left flank, left centre over there, you can see that a lot of the Julii infantry are now attacking. As I said earlier, if you notice, I'd moved my infantry over to the centre a little bit more to try and help out what was going on there. So just general overview of the battle at this stage. If you notice that we've concentrated our Scipii cavalry a little bit more, and we tend to kind of charge our cavalry in unison into where we're going to hit. And I think if you can do that as a team, that's pretty good, because the impact of, say, 18 cavalry units can cause a lot of trouble to the enemy team. You see there, we're charging all our cavalry into that one spot again on the battlefield. Hopefully, you know, we're hoping here we're going to break a lot of the enemy Julii units there, cause a lot of them to rout. As I say, new players watching this, if you as a team can kind of coordinate your cavalry hits, kind of mash your cavalry together and charge in a coordinated hit, you can usually cause a lot of damage to the other team there. And as you see, that's what we've just done. As I said, I was hoping that we'd have routed a few of those Julii units, but if you look there, you see that their infantry is quite thick, so they've held quite well there against that that cavalry hit we've just put in there. As you can see, there's a general view of what's actually happening on the battlefield at the moment. If you notice there at the rear, you can see some Julii cavalry have come in behind us. If you look over there, and our allies just chased them off with some of our Scipii cavalry there. If you notice, I'm charging my cavalry in again. Now I'm going for the Roman Red General. Can you see the Red General there? Now if I can kill, rout him, then he's going to lower the morale of all his troops. Can you see my cavalry smashing? Just hoping to kill or rout that Julii General there. And there. Can you see now that Julii General is now routed with the impact of my cavalry? If I can take my cavalry on through those Julii ranks and get in behind the enemy, that would be a great move. Right, can you see? I've taken my cavalry right through the enemy ranks there to get in behind the enemy Julii team there. So we've now cleared a path, if you like. If you look in the centre of the battlefield there, you can see that there's a path cleared through there where there's hardly any Julii units. Right, let's just pause again for a sec. There you are, can you see that path we've just cleared through where my cavalry's gone through? There's now a gap between the left and the right flank of the enemy team there. Meanwhile, over here on our left flank, you can see that the enemy are attacking my army. And over on the right flank there, you can see that the enemy Julii team and units there and our Scipio units are fighting fiercely over on the right as well. But as I say, in the centre there, we've like cleared a pathway through, so we could start pouring infantry through that gap and getting in behind the enemy Julii troops now. So there's a general view of the battle as it stands at the moment. If you notice here, I'm charging my cavalry in again. Once again, I'm going for that enemy general. Can you see the if I can rout those Julii units that are engaged with my units there, I can then turn the cavalry onto the enemy general. Remember, if you hit and rout or kill the enemy general, troops morale for that general will start to really lower there. So I always try, if I can, to try and hit the enemy general. Let's just pause again for a second here. Over on our right flank here, remember that the enemy are the red Julii and our allies are the blue Scipii here. So as you can see over on the right here, if you look at troop balance there, it's kind of pretty well even. Plus you've got those archers, the enemy archers firing arrows into our team, lowering morale as well as causing casualties. Over here on the left flank, you can see also our Scipii and Julii forces fighting there. If you notice there, I've taken my cavalry out to the back of the battleground there, looking to probably take out those enemy archers. But if I see a more worthwhile target, like engaged, like the rear of engaged enemy troops, I may well charge into them. And there you can see, I've now switched direction and charged my cavalry into the back of the engaged Julii infantry there. Remember, if you can hit the rear of engaged enemy troops, you're more likely to cause a rout than if you try coming through the front door straight into them, if you see what I mean. So that's why I spotted that. I went for the archers first, but then I spotted that the rear of those enemy engaged troops, so I went for them. I can now then go back out and go for those archers now. As you can see here on the right flank, if you notice that our blue Scipii troops now seem to outnumber the Julii troops here on our right flank. So things are starting to look quite good for us on this right flank here. If you notice my cavalry, a lot of battle damaged units there, but I'm just counting that with the impact on the tired Julii infantry there, with that cavalry going in, it might help to rout some of their units there.
Great gods be praised! The enemy general is killed.
And I think one of the Julii generals there has just admitted defeat here on the right flank. Over on the left flank here, you can still see some of the enemy Julii troops fighting on. Now it's just a case of kind of moving our troops over from the right to the left there. If you notice here, I've charged in a lot of my battle damaged cavalry into the Julii general. I think there's an infantry unit in there as well, but that Julii general's holding extremely well there. Did you see what I mean about if you charge cavalry into infantry? Very often, if you get into kind of like a trench battle with the infantry, the cavalry will usually lose. So what I'm doing now, I'm moving my cavalry off to look for other targets where I'll let my infantry try and finish off that Julii general there.
Great gods be praised. The enemy general
So
is
our
killed.
team seems to have gone on to win this battle now. There's a few of the enemy team left. I think there's a few of the enemy archers left, and we just use our cavalry to kind of mop up those units. If you look at the dead on the battlefield, you can see how intense the fighting was. Bearing in mind this was only a 3v3, with those big massive cavalry hits we threw in there, you can see there's big piles of dead in those areas.
A day of victory, worthy of Rome and her armies.
Just like to say, really well played to everybody in the game. I thought the other team played very well. Nice aggressive action by the other team there, and some very nice tactical and supporting moves by them. But also I'd like to say really well played to Steve Longshanks and Kruger Industrial Smoothing, whoever you are. Really nice aggressive attacking moves by you two. And I thought our team coordinated their cavalry hits very well there. Very often in battle you'll see cavalry charging in at different times from the same team, but if you can coordinate your cavalry hits and charge in with one massive hit, say 18 units going in, remember that's 18 units of cavalry charge bonus hitting one point of the enemy line. It's Spartan Commander say, hope you enjoyed the battle, and bye for now.